give Joe his flowers a little bit for some coaching adjustments there. Like you said, the zone I thought was actually kind of necessary when he went to it at the time. And it really did throw Indiana off a little bit because they were rolling some. But yeah, Tatum, it's one of those games where he did so many good things, and then he just did a couple things that drive you crazy. I think that's the stuff that sticks for some people. But the reality is, I mean, when he went off the floor, they really, really, really struggled. They needed him out there. And then, it's everything's punctuated by those couple of buckets that he makes late when they need it at the end one, and then that big open three. Because before that, he had a couple of big threes that, one in regulation, one in overtime, wide open. That could have changed the game. Didn't hit him. Some stuff. But again, every time he left, I forget what they were, the plus minus numbers. I think in the 7 minutes he was off the floor, they were minus 15. And in the minutes that he was on, they were plus 16 heading into the fourth quarter. So they needed him out there. He did play an all-around good game, despite just there's so many boneheaded moments that so many people did that, like, you responded to emotionally. But when you step back and you take a global look at the game, I agree that Tatum had a really solid game.
The point that Joe made – go ahead, Jimmy. Sorry.
I was going to say it was the timing of some of those, bad plays or missed shots in that fourth quarter that's why it stuck up, because everyone's antennas go up when you get to a crunch time situation, because we've all been looking for it, right? How are they going to execute in these close games? And this was one of them. And, I'm sure everybody who's watching at home is saying, all right, here we go. The Celtics are going to get tested now. It's a tie game, or it's a, one possession game. And how are they going to react? Turned out that they ended up, again, it goes back to, did the Pacers lose it or the Celtics win it? I think it's both. I mean, if you're the Pacers, you just simply cannot turn the ball over off that inbounds the way they did up 3 with, 10 seconds left. That's just unacceptable. But on the other hand, credit Jaylen Brown for getting a hand in there, right? So, and obviously hitting that shot to tie things. When it comes to Tatum, you want him to go into superstar mode in those situations. And when he doesn't, it's going to exponentiate your criticism in that time. So Jayson Tatum should be buying Jaylen Brown dinner tonight, because Jaylen Brown allowed Tatum to turn things around, turn the whole narrative around for his game tonight. Because yes, Tatum did come alive in that overtime. Again, when you want your superstars to elevate to that next level, Tatum gets that and one, hits the free throw. You got to give him credit for going to the line too. He's been pretty good from the free throw line in these playoffs, and then hitting that 3. So that's when these guys, really step things up.
I thought the point that Joe made about how his guys kept their poise. Obviously, that poise wasn't there all game, but it was there when it absolutely had to be there in that overtime session. Jaylen Brown gave them a second life in a game that they had basically killed themselves away from. I mean, the fact that he made he forced the turnover, the fact that he then turned around and hit an incredibly tough 3-point shot. Pascal Siakam could not have defended that shot any better. That Jaylen hit to force overtime.
What?
And so
Sherrod, I have to disagree.
Jimmy, you can't possibly be any closer than that.
His arms are behind his back. His arms were behind his back,
Jimmy.
Sherrod.
If his arms weren't behind his back, they would have called a foul on him, Jimmy.
Man down.
Jimmy.
That's what I have to say.
Do you know damn well
your arms up there, Sherrod? This is 101.
No, Jimmy. In that situation, in a corner 3, no, Jimmy. No.
You have to the sun.
Jimmy, he would have fouled Jaylen, and he would have. He knows he would have. That's why he did
Exactly. He would have fouled him. Yeah, he got too close. He got too close to his space. And
he defended him as well as he could defend him without fouling him. He defended him as well as you could defend a guy in that situation without fouling him. If it was you, you'd have fouled him. And then Jaylen would have went to the line and probably would have made 2 out of 3. And the Celtics would have lost. You're right. You would have fouled him, and Jaylen would have made 2 out of 3 free throws, and the Celtics would have lost.
I give him credit for not fouling. I give him credit for not fouling him, but guess what? Jaylen Brown hit the shot. So maybe you should have fouled him instead, if that's really the case. Because I think you got to put your hands up in that situation.
You know who was great? Guys, we can argue about this all game. We know what we don't have to argue about? How good Jrue Holiday was.
Testing my skills on Prize Picks this season, is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $1,000 with just a few taps. Use the code CLNS for the first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Jrue Holiday. I mean,
pinch me.
I think we said during the last series he might have had one of his better games. I think this. Yeah. I mean, this was like far and away his best game as a Celtic by like a million miles. And it's funny. It's like, we all say a lot of things. A lot of people say a lot of things. A lot of people said a lot of things about Jrue Holiday. They did. They did. I mean, I say things. We say things, right? We say hurtful things. We say things we don't mean. We lash out. And Holiday
this is typically a pro Jrue
was
show.
A target of some people's ire as a bad signing, not the guy. I kind of wish I want Smart back, and then you see a game like this and you're like, oh
Nobody
my
said
God.
That.
You said it.
You said it, Jimmy.
Bull. You know what? There's no way I would have said that. No offense to Marcus Smart, but this has been a pro Jrue Holiday show for the most part. I can't speak for the chat, but the one thing I have said since that extension is that you didn't sign Jrue Holiday for the final 2 years of his contract. You signed him for the next 2 years of his contract. The window is now. The opportunity to win titles is now. It's not 4 years. I mean, it could be 4 years from now too. I'm not saying it's not, but that's not the reason why they did it. They don't care if Jrue Holiday doesn't earn his salary in the final year of that contract. That's not the reason why they made the contract, right? Or made the extension. So this was a prime example of what Jrue Holiday, what can Jrue do for you? We just got a prime example of that right now in this game. I mean, the points are a bonus as far as I'm concerned. What he gives you on the defensive side of things, again, he's an all defense second team this year, along with Derek White, the toughest backcourt in the NBA. That was one thing that we said was going to be the case at the start of the season, and that held out. So he's held up his end of the bargain on that end. And then, he's more aggressive on the offensive end tonight. He's crashing into the hoop, picking up the trash. A lot of, there were some second chance points that he grabbed there. 10 of 16 from the field. It's hard to be more efficient than that. And then the 4 3-pointers too. So, I mean, the 3-pointers have been a thing that really, that was one of the question marks I had about Jrue, was if he was going to be an elite 3-point shooter this year. And that corner 3 was about as automatic. I think he ended up first in the league, right, Sherrod, by a wide margin.
Yeah, he was in the league for most. Yeah, he was one of the best, if not the best, corner 3-ball shooter most of the season. So the one thing that I look at with Jrue that just kind of really jumped out to me was the fact that the Celtics used him the way Indiana was using everyone else against Al Horford. Like they were very specifically targeting Nebhard and targeting, Tyrese.
They got Halliburton and a lot of switches.
Exactly. And to me, we touched on it earlier. But Joe Mazzulla, I think this may have been one of his best coaching games ever, because there were so many subtle things that he did that gave them a shot to beat a really well-playing Indiana team. Not a good team, but just playing well right now. And one of them was the way that they utilized Jrue Holiday in creating mismatches, and Jrue having the basketball IQ to realize that this guy can't guard me on a block. And this guy's not coming out to guard me when I'm behind the 3-point line. So I need to make him pay for that. And again, Jrue, this is what you bought. This is what you paid for. This is what you absolutely paid for. And that turnover that he forced near the end of the regulation, where he just basically pushed Halliburton out of bounds without touching him, just physically getting up in his space. That's priceless. I mean, whatever the Celtics pay him going forward, whether they trade him at some point, you're going to be, as a Celtics fan, you're going to think that's money well spent for those type of plays. For those type of plays to get you wins like this, get you one step closer to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, and
that's that toughness, physicality that we talk about.
Yeah, there's that toughness. You want to talk about money well spent?
Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, Use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS and get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. If you made it this far, you probably enjoyed this video, so subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out our social media platforms at Celtics CLNS.